welcome. I don't know how your day went, but I do know this. You're here now, and that's enough. Maybe your thoughts are a little scattered. Maybe your heart feels a bit tired. Or maybe you simply need a peaceful night. Take a slow, deep breath in, and gently release it. Before we enter tonight's story of the Whispering Forest of Souls, allow yourself a moment to simply rest. Here, nothing is asked of you. There is no rush, no expectation. Just your presence is enough. And tonight, you are not alone. Someone will be traveling with us. Melissa. Melissa is a gentle guide, familiar with the ancient murmurs of the forest. With her calm presence and soft footsteps, she will accompany us throughout this night, helping us move safely and effortlessly through the hidden paths of the forest. If you're ready, close your eyes. Let your breath fall naturally, and with Melissa walking beside us, let our journey into the Whispering Forest of Souls begin. The first light of dawn does not arrive in the Whispering Forest the way it does in ordinary places. Here, at the edge of the known world, where reality grows thin and permeable, morning comes as a gradual awakening of consciousness itself. The darkness does not retreat so much as transform, dissolving from black to deep purple, to a luminescent gray that seems to emanate from within the ancient trees themselves, rather than from any external sun. The forest floor, carpeted in moss that has not known human footfall in generations, begins to glow with a soft bioluminescence. Tiny points of light, like earthbound stars, pulse in rhythm with something that might be breathing, might be a heartbeat, might be the very pulse of existence itself. These are not mere fungi or insects, but something far older and more mysterious, the visible manifestation of memory itself, each light a moment captured and preserved in the amber of eternity. The trees stand as silent witnesses, their bark deeply furrowed with age beyond counting. These are not ordinary oaks or pines or maples. Though they bear superficial resemblance to such mundane species, their roots run deeper than any natural tree's roots should, plunging not just into soil but into something else entirely, into the substrate of reality itself, into the place where thoughts become things and emotions take on weight and substance. Their branches reach upward and outward in patterns that seem almost deliberate, almost purposeful, creating a canopy so dense that the sky above is only a distant memory, a half-forgotten dream of a world beyond this green cathedral. And then, as the gray light deepens to silver, the whispers begin. At first they are nearly imperceptible, less sound than sensation, more feeling than word. They drift through the spaces between the trees like morning mist, intangible and ever-shifting. A syllable here, a breath there, the ghost of a laugh, the echo of a sigh. They overlap and interweave, creating a tapestry of sound so complex that no human ear could possibly parse it into individual threads. Thousands of voices, perhaps millions, all speaking at once, all telling their stories, all desperate and patient and eternal. Remember, whispers the forest. Remember us. Remember when we lived. Remember when we loved. Remember when we were. The whispers carry with them not just words, but emotions, raw and unfiltered. Joy bursts forth in cascades of silver sound, rippling through the underbrush like water over stone. Sorrow hangs heavy in the air, a weight that presses down upon the very leaves, bending branches with the gravity of grief. Love manifests as warmth, as golden light that filters between the trees, touching everything it reaches with a tenderness that transcends time. Rage crackles like lightning, brief and bright and burning. Fear skitters and darts, never still, always fleeing from something that can never be outrun. This is the nature of the whispering forest of souls. It is a repository, a library, an archive of every human experience that has ever touched this place. But more than that, it is alive, conscious, aware. It remembers not just the facts of what has happened within its boundaries, but the feelings, the meanings, the truths that lie beneath the surface of events. It knows the difference between the story someone told and the story that actually was. It preserves not the lies we tell ourselves, but the reality we try so hard to escape. As the dawn light strengthens, the individual souls begin to differentiate themselves from the collective chorus. Each voice seeks to be heard, to tell its tale, to ensure that it is not forgotten. They do not speak in linear narratives, for souls know nothing of such human constructs. Instead, they express themselves in bursts of pure experience, in concentrated doses of what it felt like to be alive. One whisper rises slightly above the others, a voice tinged with wonder and sadness intermingled. It speaks of a summer day long past, of grass beneath bare feet, of a blue sky unmarred by even a single cloud, of the taste of wild strawberries picked warm from the vine. It speaks of childhood in the way that only those who have lost it can, with a bittersweet recognition of something precious that can never be reclaimed. The voice does not give a name, for names are small things, inadequate containers for the vastness of a soul. But it gives something more important, the essence of a moment when everything was right, when the world made sense, when happiness was not a goal to be pursued, but simply the natural state of being. Another voice, deeper and more resonant, carries the weight of a different kind of memory. This one speaks of sacrifice, of a choice made in darkness, of something given up that could never be taken back. It speaks of standing at a crossroads, of two paths diverging, of taking the harder road because it was the right road, even knowing the cost. There is no regret in this voice, but there is acknowledgement of pain, of loss, of the heavy price that sometimes must be paid for integrity. This soul does not ask for pity or praise. It simply states what was, what had to be, what it chose to do when the moment came. A third whisper, light and musical, dances through the air like wind chimes in a breeze. This is the voice of discovery, of that electric moment when understanding suddenly crystallizes, when confusion gives way to clarity, when the pattern hidden in chaos finally reveals itself. It speaks of standing in a laboratory, or perhaps a library, or perhaps simply in a quiet room with a window open to the night, and suddenly knowing something that had always been true, but never before seen. This soul preserves not the specific knowledge gained, but the feeling of gaining it, that rush of recognition, that satisfaction of puzzle pieces clicking into place, that brief godlike sensation of having touched something eternal and true. The whispers continue to multiply and differentiate as the morning advances. Each soul in the forest has its own story, its own truth, its own reason for being remembered. Some speak of grand moments, of turning points in history, of decisions that shaped nations and changed the course of human events. Others speak of smaller things, of quiet kindnesses, of words spoken in private that changed a single life, of moments of connection between souls that no one else ever witnessed. The forest makes no distinction between these. A whisper of a mother comforting a frightened child carries the same weight, the same importance, the same right to be remembered as a whisper of a king signing a treaty that ended a war. This is perhaps the forest's greatest truth, that all moments matter, that all experiences have value, that no life is too small or insignificant to be worth preserving. The forest remembers the famous and the forgotten with equal fidelity. It holds the souls of those whose names are recorded in history books and those whose names were never written down at all. It treasures the memory of those who lived long lives full of accomplishment and those who died young with their potential unfulfilled. In the democracy of death, in the communion of souls, all are equal, all are valued, all are heard. The physical space of the forest itself seems to respond to the presence of these souls. Where a particularly joyful memory resides, flowers bloom out of season, their colors more vivid than nature alone could produce. Where sorrow concentrates, the bark of trees weeps actual tears, clear droplets of water that contain within them the salt of genuine grief. Where rage has made its home, the air crackles with energy, and lightning sometimes plays among the upper branches, even on clear days. Where love has taken root, the very ground seems warmer, more welcoming, and those rare living creatures that venture into the forest find themselves drawn to such spots as to a hearth on a cold night. The forest is not static. It changes constantly, responding to the ebb and flow of the souls within it, to the interplay of their stories, to the complex emotional ecology that governs their interactions. Some souls are drawn to others, finding kinship across centuries, connecting across the void of death through shared experiences or complementary truths. Others repel each other, unable to coexist, their conflicting natures creating zones of turbulence and discord within the forest's otherwise peaceful realm. As the morning light grows stronger, bringing with it the pale gold of true sunrise, the whispers begin to organize themselves into something like a chorus. Not a harmony, precisely, for that would imply too much order, too much conscious arrangement. Rather, it is like the sound of a great crowd, all speaking at once, somehow producing not chaos, but a kind of meta-order, a pattern that emerges from apparent randomness. Themes begin to surface, recurring motifs in the great symphony of souls. Birth, death, love, loss, fear, joy, courage, betrayal, forgiveness, redemption. These are the great movements of the human experience, and they sound through the forest in waves, each soul adding its own variation on these eternal themes. The forest preserves not just individual stories, but the collective story of what it means to be human, to be alive, to feel and think and choose and regret and triumph and fail and try again. Somewhere deep within the forest, in a place where the trees grow so close together that even the morning light cannot penetrate, there is a clearing. This is the heart of the forest, the center from which all its power emanates. Here, the whispers are loudest, most concentrated, most overwhelming. Here, The boundary between past and present, between memory and reality, between the living and the dead, is thinnest. Here, souls do not just whisper, they manifest, taking on forms of light and shadow, replaying their most important moments over and over in an eternal loop, unable to move forward, unable to let go, unable to release their grip on the world they once inhabited. But dawn has only just begun. The forest has many secrets yet to reveal, many souls yet to speak, many truths yet to whisper into the listening silence. The morning advances, and with it comes a deepening of the experience, a moving beyond the surface beauty of dawn into something more profound, more challenging, more real. The souls are stirring, the forest is awake, and the day's journey through memory and meaning has only just begun. The Soul's Chorus. Morning. As the morning sun finally breaches the canopy in thin filtered streams, the nature of the whispers begins to change. Where dawn brought a gentle awakening, morning brings full consciousness, and with it comes clarity. The voices that were indistinct and overlapping begin to separate themselves, like instruments in an orchestra that have finished tuning and are now ready to play their distinct parts. The forest organizes itself into zones, each with its own character, its own particular concentration of certain types of souls. This organization is not geographic in any conventional sense. One cannot draw a map of the whispering forest and mark, here is where the joyful souls dwell, or this section contains the regretful. The zones exist, but they shift, flowing like water, rearranging themselves according to rules that have nothing to do with physical space and everything to do with emotional resonance and spiritual affinity. In one moment, a particular copse of trees might resonate with the whispers of those who died young, their voices carrying that peculiar mixture of innocence and awareness, of potential unfulfilled and wisdom gained too late. These souls speak of all the things they never got to do, all the experiences they were denied, all the years that should have been theirs but weren't. Yet there is no bitterness in these voices, only a kind of wistful acknowledgement, a sad acceptance of fate's capriciousness. They speak of first loves and last goodbyes, of dreams that will never be realized, of parents who outlived their children, and the terrible wrongness of that reversal. I was 17. One whisper breathes into the morning air. 17, and I thought I had forever. I thought there would always be time for apologies, for second chances, for getting it right. I never said the things that mattered. I never told them what they meant to me. And then there was no more time, and the words died with me, unspoken, trapped in a throat that would never open again. The whisper fades, but its essence lingers, saturating the air with regret. This is not the sharp, burning regret of a specific mistake, but the duller, deeper regret of opportunities missed, of love unexpressed, of a life cut short before it could fully bloom. Other young souls add their own variations on this theme, creating a chorus of youth lost, of potential extinguished, of the unbearable lightness of being that never got to ripen into the substantial weight of a life fully lived. But even as these voices speak their sorrow, the zone shifts, flows, transforms. The quality of light changes, taking on a warmer hue, and suddenly a different congregation of souls makes itself heard. These are the voices of those who lived long lives, who saw their children grow and their grandchildren born, who accumulated years like a miser accumulates gold. Their whispers carry a different weight, heavy with experience, textured with the complexity of decades of choices and consequences. I was 93, one such voice intones, deep and deliberate. 93 years I walked this earth. I saw empires rise and fall. I saw wars begin and end. I watched the world transform in ways my younger self could never have imagined. I accumulated so many memories, so many moments, that toward the end I felt like I was drowning in them, like the weight of all that living was pulling me down into depths I couldn't escape. This voice does not speak of regret for things undone, but rather of the overwhelming burden of things done, of choices made, of paths taken. There is a weariness in it, but also a kind of satisfaction, the contentment of a meal fully consumed, of a book read to its conclusion, of a journey completed. These elder souls do not mourn lost potential. They wrestle instead with the question of whether the potential they fulfilled was the right potential, whether the life they lived was the life they should have lived. The whispers from these long-lived souls interweave with philosophical musings about the nature of existence itself. They speak of how time changes its texture as one ages, how years that seem to crawl in childhood begin to gallop in old age, how a life that seems so vast and full of possibility gradually reveals itself to be a series of narrowing choices, each decision closing off other paths, until at the end there is only one road left, and that road leads inevitably here, to the forest, to the whispers, to the final reckoning with what was and what might have been. The morning advances, and with it comes a shift in the quality of the whispers themselves. Where the dawn voices were primarily concerned with individual experiences, individual moments, individual truths, the morning voices begin to speak of connections, of the spaces between souls, of the ways in which lives intertwine and influence each other in patterns too complex to fully comprehend while living, but which become visible only here, in this place, where all stories are known and all truths are preserved. A new zone manifests itself, though whether it has always been there and only now becomes apparent, or whether it comes into being in this very moment, is impossible to say. Here the whispers speak in pairs, in groups, in conversations that span decades or even centuries. These are souls that found each other in life and have not let go in death, bound together by ties stronger than mortality. Two voices, distinct yet harmonizing, speak of a love that lasted 60 years. They do not describe the romance of their early days or the passion of youth. Instead, they whisper of the harder things, the tests that came later, of illness endured together, of disappointments shared, of the countless small choices to stay, to forgive, to try again, to see the other person not as they wished them to be, but as they actually were, and to love them anyway. These whispers create a portrait of love as not a feeling but a practice, not a state of being, but a series of actions repeated day after day until they become the very fabric of existence. In the end, one voice murmurs, "We were not two people, but one being with two bodies. We thought the same thoughts, finished each other's sentences, knew what the other needed before they knew it themselves. When I died, half of that being ceased to exist. And when you followed me here, 6 months later, the other half finally found peace." Near these intertwined voices, others speak of different kinds of connection. A parent and child converse across the gulf of death, the parent's voice tinged with the particular anguish of having failed, of not having been enough, of having let their child down in ways that can never now be rectified. The child's voice responds with forgiveness, with understanding that came too late in life but is complete here in death, with the recognition that parents are only human, only fallible, only doing the best they could with what they had. I understand now. The child's whisper says, I understand that you were broken too, that your own childhood damaged you in ways you never healed from, that you passed that damage down to me, not out of malice, but out of simple inability to do otherwise. I forgive you. I wish I had told you that before you died. I wish you had known that I understood. The parent's whisper, in response, carries relief so profound, it seems to lighten the very air around it. I was so afraid, it says, so afraid that I had ruined you, that my failures had poisoned your life beyond redemption. Hearing your forgiveness, even here, even now, even though it's too late to change anything, it matters. It matters more than you can know. These dialogues between souls reveal one of the forest's deepest purposes. It is not merely a repository of individual memories, but a space where relationships can be understood in their fullness, where the gaps in communication that plague the living can finally be bridged, where truths that were too difficult to speak in life can finally be expressed and received. The forest facilitates a kind of reconciliation that transcends death, allowing souls to find the closure, the understanding, the peace that eluded them when they were alive. But not all the whispers speak of such peaceful resolutions. In another zone, one that vibrates with tension and unresolved energy, voices clash rather than harmonize. These are souls locked in eternal conflict, unable to forgive, unwilling to forget, holding on to their grievances with a grip that death itself cannot loosen. Here, the whispers are sharp, accusatory, defensive. You betrayed me, one voice hisses. You took what was mine, what I worked for, what I built, and you destroyed it. You smiled to my face while plotting behind my back. You were my friend, my partner, my trusted ally, and you were a lie. Everything you were was a lie. The accused voice responds, not with contrition, but with justification. You never saw me, it says. You never valued what I contributed. You took all the credit, all the glory, while I did the work in the shadows. I didn't betray you. I simply stopped betraying myself. I took what I deserved, what you never would have given me willingly. This exchange, bitter and endless, reveals another truth about the forest. Not all souls find peace here. Some remain trapped in their anger, in their pain, in their absolute certainty of their own righteousness. The forest preserves these conflicts as faithfully as it preserves love and forgiveness, because they too are part of the human story, part of what it means to be a creature capable of choice, and therefore capable of choosing badly, of hurting others, of being hurt and refusing to heal. The morning light, now fully illuminating the forest floor in scattered pools of gold, reveals physical manifestations of these spiritual realities. Where joyful souls congregate, wildflowers bloom in impossible profusion, their scents mingling to create perfumes that evoke specific happy memories. Birthday cake, fresh-cut grass, the peculiar smell of rain on hot pavement. Where sorrowful souls gather, moss grows thick, and water collects in dark pools that reflect not the sky above, but something else, something deeper, showing visions of what was lost and can never be recovered. In places where souls are locked in conflict, the forest itself seems diseased. Trees bear thorns that trees of their species should not have. The undergrowth tangles and snares. The air tastes bitter, metallic, like blood or old coins. These are the scarred places, the wounded places, where the forest has absorbed so much pain and anger that it has marked the physical world with psychic wounds. Yet even in these darkest zones, there is a kind of order, a purpose. The forest does not judge these angry, hurting souls. It does not try to force them toward forgiveness or peace. It simply holds them, preserves them, allows them to exist as they are, perhaps in time measured not in years but in ages. They will tire of their anger. Perhaps they will gradually soften, let go, move toward something resembling peace, or perhaps they will not. The forest has infinite patience. It can wait. As the morning moves toward midday, the character of the whispers shifts once again. The specific stories, the individual conflicts and connections begin to fade into the background, and something larger emerges. A sense of the collective wisdom accumulated by all these souls, by all these lives lived and lessons learned. The forest itself seems to speak, though whether it has a consciousness of its own or whether it is simply the emergent property of all the souls it contains is a question without an answer. Every life teaches something, the forest whispers, its voice the combined voices of millions. Every experience adds to the great repository of human understanding. The happiest lives and the most tragic, the longest and the shortest, the most successful and the most failed, all of them contribute. All of them matter. None of them are wasted. This collective whisper carries a weight and authority that individual voices cannot match. It speaks to the deepest questions of existence. Why are we here? What is the point of suffering? Does anything we do matter in the vast scheme of things? And the forest answers not with platitudes or easy reassurances, but with the accumulated testimony of uncounted souls who have faced these questions and found their own answers. It matters, the forest says. Your small kindnesses ripple outward in ways you never see. Your sufferings teach you things that cannot be learned any other way. Your joys justify existence itself. Your failures are not endings, but lessons. Your successes are not yours alone, but the fruits of all who helped you, all who came before you, all who believed in you when you could not believe in yourself. You are not separate. You are not alone. You are part of a vast web of connection and meaning that stretches from the beginning of human consciousness to its end. And even in your darkest moments, even in your greatest despair, you matter. You always mattered. You always will. The morning reaches its zenith, and with it comes a kind of peace, a settling, a moment of rest before the afternoon brings new revelations. The whispers continue, but they have taken on a meditative quality, less urgent, more contemplative. This is the forest's breath, its steady rhythm, its eternal cycle of speaking and listening, remembering and being remembered, holding the past sacred, while acknowledging that the past is past, that what was cannot be changed, but its meaning can be honored, preserved, and learned from. The souls rest in their telling, the forest rests in its listening, and morning gives way to the fuller light of midday, bringing with it new truths to explore, new depths to plumb, new aspects of the eternal mystery of existence to contemplate. Memories in the Mist. Midday. When the sun reaches its apex, something extraordinary happens in the whispering forest of souls. The temperature, which has been cool despite the advancing day, suddenly shifts. The air grows warmer, heavier, laden with moisture that seems to materialize from nowhere and everywhere at once. Within minutes, a mist begins to rise from the forest floor, thick and white and strangely luminous, as if lit from within by some internal radiance that has nothing to do with reflected sunlight. This is not ordinary fog. It does not simply obscure vision or dampen sound. Instead, it serves as a medium, a canvas upon which the souls can project their memories in forms more complete than mere whispers. The mist becomes a screen, and upon it plays 1,000,000 scenes from lives long past, moments preserved with such perfect fidelity that they are not memories, but reality itself, replayed in eternal recurrence. A figure begins to form in the mist, taking shape gradually, like a photograph developing in a dark room. It is a woman, middle-aged, dressed in clothing from decades past. She stands in what appears to be a kitchen, sunlight streaming through a window behind her, illuminating dust motes in the air. Her hands are covered in flour, and she is kneading bread dough with the practiced ease of someone who has performed this action 10,000 times. But it is her expression that arrests attention, pure concentration, yes, but also something more. Contentment, peace, the simple satisfaction of doing something with skill, of performing a humble task well, of finding meaning in the mundane. This scene plays out in perfect silence except for the whisper that accompanies it, providing context, adding meaning to the visual. This was happiness, the voice says, not the excitement of great events or the thrill of adventure, but this, sunlight, bread, my hands in dough, the knowledge that I would feed my family with what I made, that this simple act connected me to generations of women who had done the same, that I was part of something larger than myself. This moment, repeated countless times throughout my life, was the foundation of my joy. The scene fades as another emerges beside it. This time, a battlefield. Men in uniform, young faces set in grim determination, the smoke of gunfire drifting across cratered ground. The scene is chaotic, filled with motion and violence. Yet the whisper that accompanies it speaks not of the horror of war, but of something more complex. I was terrified, the voice says, more frightened than I had ever been, than I ever would be again. But I was also alive in a way I had never experienced. Every sense was heightened. Every moment mattered with an intensity that made my previous life seem like a dream. I saw my friend die beside me, and I felt guilty that I was still alive, and I felt grateful that I was still alive, and I felt both things simultaneously, and I understood for the first time that human emotion is not simple, that we contain multitudes, that we can feel opposite things at the same time and have both feelings be equally true. More scenes materialize in the mist, layering over and through each other, creating a palimpsest of experience. A child taking first steps while a parent watches with heart-bursting pride. Lovers meeting for the first time, recognizing each other across a crowded room with a shock of recognition that feels like destiny. A scientist in a laboratory, staring at data that confirms a hypothesis. experiencing that rare moment of genuine discovery when the universe reveals one of its secrets. An artist finishing a painting, stepping back to see the whole for the first time, feeling that mixture of satisfaction and anticlimax that comes when creation is complete. Each scene is accompanied by its whisper, its explanation, its soul's attempt to convey not just what happened, but what it felt like, what it meant, why this particular moment out of all the moments in a life deserved to be preserved for eternity. And what becomes clear as the scenes multiply and overlap is that there is no hierarchy of experience. The woman kneading bread has as much right to her memory's preservation as the soldier on the battlefield or the scientist in the laboratory. Significance is not determined by objective measures, but by subjective experience, by what mattered to the person who lived it. The mist thickens further, and the scenes begin to interact with each other in ways that reveal unexpected connections. A mother gives birth in one scene, while in another, overlapping it, an elderly man takes his last breath. The whispers explain, birth and death are not opposites but twins, two faces of the same mystery, the eternal cycle of souls entering and leaving the world. In the moment I was born, someone else was dying. In the moment I died, someone else was being born. We are all part of this dance, this exchange, this great circulation of life force that flows through the universe like blood through a body. Another set of overlapping scenes shows a wedding and a divorce, both from the same marriage, both equally real, both equally deserving of remembrance. The joy of the wedding day, the hope and promise and absolute conviction that this love will last forever. The pain of the divorce, the recognition of failure, the mourning for what could not be sustained. The whispers from these scenes speak not in contradiction, but in completion, acknowledging that both experiences were true, that the end of the marriage did not negate the genuine love that began it, that failure does not erase what was good, that human relationships are complex things that can be simultaneously the source of greatest happiness and deepest pain. As midday deepens, the scenes in the mist become more abstract, less representational. Colors swirl without forming distinct shapes. Sounds echo without clear source. These are memories of experiences that language cannot capture, that even visual representation struggles to convey. The memory of unconditional love, not as an event, but as a state of being. The memory of profound loneliness, the kind that comes not from being alone, but from being surrounded by people who cannot or will not see you. The memory of transcendence, those rare moments when the boundaries of self seem to dissolve, and one feels connected to everything, part of a cosmic unity that includes all beings, all times, all places. The whispers that accompany these abstract presentations struggle with language, pushing words to their limits, using metaphor and poetry, and sometimes simply falling into silence, acknowledging that some truths cannot be spoken, only felt, only experienced, only known in that direct, unmediated way that the forest allows. It was like one whisper begins, then pauses. No, it wasn't like anything. It was itself. I cannot compare it to anything else because there is nothing else like it. I can only say that in that moment, I knew. I knew why I existed, why anything exists, why there is something rather than nothing. And then the moment passed, and the knowledge faded, and I was left only with the memory of having known, which is both precious and frustrating. like remembering that you once held a treasure, but no longer remembering what the treasure was. Other whispers speak of moments of perfect understanding between souls, of communication that transcended words, of knowing another person so completely that speech became unnecessary. These memories manifest in the mist as two forms that gradually merge, boundaries blurring until it's unclear where one ends and the other begins, illustrating the truth that intimate connection is a kind of union, a temporary dissolution of the illusion of separateness. The forest at midday becomes a museum of human experience, every exhibit equally valued, all truths given equal weight. The mist preserves not just the grand moments, but the tiny ones, the barely noticeable shifts in consciousness that nevertheless changed everything. A moment of sudden courage when fear was overcome. A moment of devastating cruelty when someone chose to hurt rather than help. A moment of forgiveness when a grudge held for years was finally released. A moment of recognition when a long-held belief was realized to be false, and a more accurate understanding took its place. What the midday mist reveals most clearly is that memory is not storage, but reconstruction, not recording, but interpretation. Each soul does not simply replay what happened, but presents what happened as filtered through understanding, as shaped by all that came after, as interpreted in light of a full life lived. The same event can be preserved by multiple souls who experienced it together, and each preservation will be different. We'll emphasize different aspects. We'll assign different meanings, because each soul brought different understandings to the experience and took different lessons from it. Two scenes materialize side by side, showing the same moment from two perspectives. A parent disciplines a child, and the parent's whisper speaks of necessity, of responsibility, of the difficult duty of teaching right from wrong, even when it would be easier to be permissive. The child's whisper, preserving the same moment, speaks of confusion, of feeling unloved, of not understanding why the parent is angry. Neither version is wrong. Both are true. The forest preserves both, honoring the complexity of human relationships, acknowledging that the same event can simultaneously be an act of love and an act that causes pain, that good intentions do not guarantee good outcomes, that we are all limited by our perspectives and cannot fully see how our actions appear to others. As the sun begins its descent from the zenith, moving slowly toward afternoon, the mist starts to thin. The scenes become less distinct, fading like dreams upon waking. The whispers grow softer, more contemplative, as if the souls themselves need rest after such intense revelation. But before the mist dissipates entirely, one final scene emerges, larger and more vivid than any that have come before. It shows not a single moment, but a lifetime compressed, years flickering past in seconds. A soul from birth to death, every significant moment preserved. First breath, first word, first step, first day of school, first heartbreak, first triumph, first failure, marriage, children, career, illness, recovery, loss, aging, wisdom, acceptance, and finally, the last breath that mirrors the first. The entire arc of a human life, displayed in its totality, showing how each moment connects to every other, how choices ripple forward, how consequences cascade through years, how the person we become is shaped by 10,000 tiny decisions made over decades. The whisper that accompanies this comprehensive vision speaks with a weight and gravitas that silences all other voices. This was a life. It says, not exceptional, not mundane, but simply a life. It contained joy and sorrow, success and failure, love and loss, wisdom and foolishness. It was flawed and beautiful, tragic and triumphant, meaningful and meaningless, all at once. It was a human life, and that alone makes it sacred, makes it worthy of preservation, makes it matter. Every life matters, every single one. Not because of what it accomplished or failed to accomplish, but simply because it was lived, because a consciousness existed, experienced, felt, chose, learned, loved, feared, hoped, and dreamed. That is enough. That will always be enough. The mist dissipates, the visions fade, the midday revelation concludes, but its impact lingers, saturating the forest with a renewed understanding of why this place exists, why these souls are preserved, why memory matters. The forest is not merely a repository of the past, but a testament to the value of existence itself, a declaration that consciousness is precious, that experience is sacred, that every moment of awareness in this vast, cold universe is a miracle worth celebrating and preserving. The afternoon awaits, bringing with it new truths, darker truths perhaps, but truths nonetheless that must be witnessed and acknowledged. The Heart of Sorrow, Afternoon. As the sun begins its slow descent toward the horizon, the character of the forest changes dramatically. The golden light of midday darkens to amber, then to a deep, bruised orange that seems to carry within it the weight of gathering shadows. The temperature drops. The whispers that have maintained a relatively balanced chorus of varied emotions throughout the morning now shift toward a lower register, a minor key, a collective sound that resonates with grief and loss and pain. This is the afternoon in the whispering forest of souls, and afternoon brings confrontation with the darker truths of existence. If morning celebrates life and midday illuminates memory, afternoon demands acknowledgement of suffering, of all the ways that existence wounds us, all the sorrows we accumulate, all the hurts we inflict and endure. This is not cruelty on the forest's part, but completion, the recognition that any honest accounting of human experience must include not just joy, but anguish, not just love, but loss. The souls that speak most clearly during these hours are those who died with heavy hearts, those whose final moments were marked by despair rather than peace, those who left the world carrying burdens they could not lay down. Their whispers fill the air with a heaviness that seems almost physical, a weight that presses down upon the forest floor, bending blades of grass, causing flowers to droop on their stems. One whisper rises above the others, raw with anguish. It speaks of a parent who outlived a child, an experience that violates the natural order so profoundly that language itself seems inadequate to contain it. I buried my daughter, the voice says, each word a stone dropped into still water, sending ripples of sorrow outward. I buried my daughter, and with her, I buried my future, my hope, my reason for being. I buried my daughter, and part of me died with her, and the part that remained wished it had died too. I buried my daughter, and I learned that there is no pain deeper than this, no wound that cuts more thoroughly, no loss that devastates more completely. The whisper continues, describing the years that followed that loss, years lived in a gray twilight of grief, going through the motions of existence without truly living, smiling when expected to smile, but feeling nothing behind the smile, moving through the world like a ghost haunting its own life. It speaks of well-meaning friends who said that time heals all wounds, and how that proved to be a lie, or at least a misunderstanding. Time did not heal the wound. It simply taught a kind of accommodation, a way to live with pain that never truly subsided, that remained always present, a constant ache, like an old injury that throbs with every change in weather. I learned to function, the whisper says. I learned to appear normal, but I was never whole again, never. Part of me remained in that grave, will always remain in that grave, lying next to my daughter in the darkness. I survived her death, but I never recovered from it. And when I finally died, decades later, my last thought was not of the life I had lived, but of the life she never got to live. All the experiences she was denied, all the joy she should have known but didn't. My last thought was of her, as my first thought every morning had been of her, as my last thought every night had been of her. Even death could not separate us, could not end my mourning, could not grant me release from grief. This soul's whisper creates a space around itself, a zone of sorrow so intense that other whispers fall silent in its presence, as if recognizing that some griefs are so profound they deserve to stand alone. To be witnessed without distraction, to be honored in their full, terrible magnitude. The forest holds this grief tenderly, preserving it not out of cruelty, but out of recognition that this too is part of the human story, that this too deserves acknowledgement, that to deny or minimize such suffering would be to falsify the record of what it means to be human. Near this zone of parental grief, another voice speaks of a different kind of loss. This is the whisper of someone who died by their own hand, who made the final, irreversible decision to end their existence, who found the pain of living too great to bear. The voice carries no drama, no grand statement, only a kind of tired resignation. I was so exhausted, it says. Exhausted in a way that sleep could not cure, rest could not remedy. Exhausted of pretending that things were okay when they weren't. Exhausted of smiling through pain. Exhausted of hoping that tomorrow would be better, when every tomorrow brought only more of the same. I was exhausted of being myself, of carrying the weight of my own consciousness, of experiencing every moment through the filter of a brain that turned everything dark, that found suffering in joy and despair in hope. The whisper describes the final moments, not with the sensationalism of dramatic tragedy, but with the banal reality of profound sadness. It speaks of writing notes that tried and failed to explain the unexplainable, of looking around a familiar room one last time, of that strange calm that came with finally making the decision, of the relief of no longer having to continue, mixed with the sorrow of all the people who would be hurt by this choice, the recognition that in ending personal pain, new pain would be created for others. But the equation had shifted, the balance had tipped, and this seemed like the only option left. I do not regret it, the whisper says, and this is perhaps the most difficult truth the forest preserves, the acknowledgement that not all souls who take their own lives regret that choice, that for some, the peace of non-existence genuinely feels preferable to the agony of continued being. But I grieve for those I left behind, for my mother who found me, For my best friend who will always wonder if they could have done something different. For everyone who will blame themselves for not seeing, not knowing, not saving me. I could not find a way to live that did not hurt unbearably. That was my truth. That was my experience. And the forest preserves it, even though it's a truth that makes people uncomfortable, even though it's an experience that challenges the narrative that life is always precious, always worth living, always a gift to be grateful for. The afternoon deepens, and more souls of suffering make themselves heard. A whisper speaks of a lifetime of poverty, of never having enough, of the constant stress of wondering whether there would be food, whether the rent could be paid, whether illness or injury would bring complete financial ruin. It describes the way that poverty grinds down the spirit, how the constant anxiety erodes health, how the lack of options limits potential, how the judgment of others, the assumption that poverty is deserved, is the result of laziness or moral failing, rather than circumstance and systematic inequality, adds shame to struggle. I was not lazy, the voice insists. I worked harder than most people ever will. Multiple jobs, long hours, physical labor that destroyed my body by the time I was 50. But I was born into poverty, and poverty is a trap with walls too high to climb, especially when you're too busy surviving to accumulate the resources needed for escape. I died poor. I was buried in a pauper's grave, and society treated my poverty as proof of my worthlessness, never acknowledging that the system was rigged, that the game was fixed, that I never had a fair chance. Another whisper speaks of abuse, of a childhood marked by violence and fear, of learning very early that the world is not safe, that the people who should protect you might be the ones who hurt you most. This soul's voice carries a particular kind of damage, a fundamental brokenness that comes from having trust shattered before it was fully formed. It describes the long-term effects of trauma, how the fear embedded in childhood continues to shape behavior decades later, how relationships become nearly impossible when your baseline assumption is that anyone who gets close will eventually hurt you, how therapy and time and tremendous effort can help but can never fully erase the damage. I survived, the whisper says, but surviving is not the same as thriving, is not the same as being okay. I survived, and I'm supposed to feel proud of that, grateful for that, but mostly I just feel angry. Angry that I had to survive at all, that I was put in a position where survival was an achievement, that my childhood was stolen from me, and I can never get it back. And I'm angry that people expect me to forgive my abusers, to let go of my anger, to move on, as if forgiveness is something I owe to the people who hurt me, as if my continued pain is somehow my fault for not being enlightened enough to transcend it. The forest does not judge these angry, hurting souls. It does not tell them they should feel differently, should heal, should forgive, should move on. It simply holds their truth as they experienced it, acknowledges their pain as real and valid, preserves their perspective without trying to soften it or make it more palatable. This is one of the forest's greatest gifts, the refusal to gaslight the dead, to tell them their suffering wasn't as bad as they remember, to suggest that their pain was somehow their own fault, or within their power to simply overcome through positive thinking. As the afternoon wears on toward evening, the whispers of sorrow begin to organize themselves into patterns, revealing commonalities, showing the ways that different types of suffering connect to each other. The soul who lost a child and the soul who died by suicide, and the soul who lived in poverty, and the soul who survived abuse, all of these find common ground in the recognition that life is often hard, often unfair, often characterized by suffering that feels undeserved and unnecessary. Yet even in this darkness, even in this acknowledgement of all the ways that existence wounds us, there is something that could almost be called hope. It comes not from denial of suffering or from false promises that everything happens for a reason or that pain makes us stronger. Instead, it comes from the simple fact of being witnessed, of having pain acknowledged rather than dismissed, of knowing that these experiences are preserved, remembered, honored. My suffering mattered. One whisper says, speaking for many, it was not meaningless. It was not deserved. It was not my fault. It was not a lesson I needed to learn or a test I needed to pass. It was simply what happened to me, and it was terrible, and I did not transcend it or find hidden blessings in it or become a better person because of it. But it mattered. My pain mattered. My struggle mattered. I mattered. And having this place, having the forest preserve my truth without trying to find silver linings or teach lessons or extract meaning, that is a kind of justice, a kind of validation, a kind of respect that I rarely received while living. The light continues to fade. As afternoon transitions toward evening, the whispers of sorrow gradually quiet, not because the pain has been resolved or healed, but because even grief needs rest, even sorrow needs moments of quiet. The souls have spoken their truths, have had their suffering witnessed and acknowledged, and now they can rest for a while, knowing that they will be heard again when the time is right, when another afternoon comes and the forest once more creates space for the darkness that is as much a part of the human experience as the light. Echoes of love and joy. Late afternoon. As afternoon begins its slow transition toward evening, something shifts in the whispering forest of souls. The heavy sorrow that characterized the earlier hours does not disappear entirely, but it begins to lift, like fog burning off under emerging sunlight. The whispers change their tone, moving from minor keys to major, from lament to celebration, from acknowledgement of suffering to recognition of joy. This shift is not a denial of what came before. The afternoon's truths about pain and loss and grief remain valid, remain preserved, remain part of the forest's eternal memory. But the forest knows balance, knows that human experience contains multitudes, that the same species capable of profound cruelty is also capable of extraordinary kindness, that the same hearts that break with sorrow also soar with joy, that the full truth of existence includes both darkness and light, and to preserve only one while ignoring the other would be to falsify the record. The souls that now make themselves heard are those who died happy, or if not precisely happy, for death is rarely a happy occasion, then at least at peace, satisfied with lives well lived, grateful for experiences accumulated, surrounded by love in their final moments. Their whispers carry a lightness, an effervescence, like champagne bubbles rising through liquid gold. One voice emerges with particular clarity, warm and resonant and shot through with contentment. It speaks of a long marriage, not the early romantic years, but the later ones, the decades of deep partnership, of knowing and being known completely. We grew old together, the whisper says. We grew old together, and people think that's sad, that aging is decline, that the loss of youth and beauty and vitality is something to mourn. But they're wrong. Growing old together was the greatest privilege of my life. The whisper goes on to describe the particular intimacy that comes from sharing decades, from weathering storms together, from building a life one day at a time, over 40, 50, 60 years. It speaks of inside jokes that no one else would understand, of being able to communicate in glances and gestures, of knowing what the other person needed before they asked. It speaks of the comfort of routines, of morning coffee shared in companionable silence, of hands held while watching television, of goodnight kisses that became ritual, sacred in their mundanity. The great passion of youth is wonderful, the voice says, but it cannot compare to the deep river of love that comes from truly seeing another person, flaws and all, and choosing them every day for decades. That kind of love is earned, is built, is cultivated with patience and forgiveness and grace. And when I died, my last sight in this world was my beloved's face, wrinkled and weathered, and more beautiful to me than it had been at 20. That is what I carry with me into eternity, the image of a face that told the story of our life together, every line a memory, every wrinkle a shared experience, every gray hair a year survived together. That is love, that is joy, that is what makes existence worthwhile. Near this whisper of long-term love, another voice speaks of a different kind of joy, the wild, exuberant happiness of youth, of a friendship, of summer nights that seem to last forever. This soul remembers gatherings, late-night conversations that solved all the world's problems, laughter so hard it hurt, the absolute certainty that these people, these friends, would be together forever, that nothing could separate them, that this feeling of belonging and acceptance and pure fun would never end. We were invincible, the whisper says, and there's no irony in it, no bitterness about the inevitable passage of time, only pure nostalgia for a moment when that's how it genuinely felt. We were young and healthy and full of energy and convinced that we understood everything about life, which of course we didn't, but our ignorance was its own kind of bliss. We stayed up until dawn talking about philosophy and art and meaning. We drove too fast with the music too loud. We fell in and out of love. We made mistakes and forgave each other. We were becoming ourselves, trying on different identities like clothes, figuring out who we wanted to be, and it was glorious. The whisper acknowledges that time eventually scattered this friend group, that people moved away, that some relationships faded, that the intensity of those bonds could not be sustained indefinitely. But rather than mourning what was lost, the voice celebrates what was experienced. Nothing lasts forever, it says, but that doesn't make it less real, less valuable, less worthy of gratitude. Those friendships shaped me. Those nights of laughter and conversation and shared dreams made me who I became. And when I died, decades later, having lived a full and complex life, some of my happiest memories were still of those summer nights when I was 22, and the world was full of possibility, and I was surrounded by people who knew me and loved me anyway. More voices join the chorus, each adding their own variation on the theme of joy. A whisper speaks of the birth of a child, of holding new life in trembling arms, of being overwhelmed by love so fierce it felt almost frightening, of suddenly understanding that you would die for this tiny being without hesitation, that everything you thought mattered before has been rearranged in an instant, that your heart has expanded to accommodate something you didn't know it could contain. Another voice describes the joy of creation, of making something, a painting, a song, a garden, a meal, a business, a home, and seeing it complete, seeing it exist in the world as a testament to your vision and effort. I built something, the whisper says with pride. I took an idea that existed only in my mind, and I made it real. I put my mark on the world. I created something that didn't exist before I imagined it. And that act of creation, that transformation of thought into reality, that was its own form of magic, its own source of profound satisfaction. A particularly vibrant whisper speaks of adventure, of travel, of pushing beyond comfortable boundaries to experience the vast diversity of human culture and natural beauty that the world contains. This soul remembers standing at the edge of the Grand Canyon, swimming in the Mediterranean Sea, walking through ancient temples in Asia, eating unfamiliar foods in street markets, attempting to communicate across language barriers, feeling simultaneously humbled by the world's immensity and exhilarated by human capacity to explore and adapt and connect. I saw so much, the voice says with wonder that death has not diminished. I saw mountains and deserts and oceans and cities. I saw how humans have adapted to every environment, have created beauty in every corner of the earth, have developed thousands of different ways to find meaning and express creativity and build community. I saw that the world is so much bigger than the small corner I grew up in, that my way of life is not the only way or the best way, but simply one way among infinite possibilities, and that expansion of perspective, that shattering of provincial assumptions, that opening to the full richness of human experience, that was transformative. That was joy. The late afternoon light takes on a golden quality, warm and rich, and in this light the souls of joy seem to shine more brightly. Their whispers begin to harmonize, creating something that could almost be called music. Not melody in any conventional sense, but a kind of orchestration of emotion, a symphony of happiness in all its forms. One whisper speaks of simple pleasures elevated to profound satisfaction. The taste of ripe fruit on a hot day, the feeling of cool water after hard physical work, the sensation of sun on skin after a long winter, the smell of rain on dry earth. These small things, the voice says, these tiny moments of physical pleasure and sensory satisfaction, these were as important to my happiness as any great achievement or major life event. A perfect peach, a cold beer, a comfortable bed after an exhausting day. These simple joys, experienced fully, were enough. They were always enough. Another voice describes the intellectual joy of learning, of understanding, of suddenly grasping a concept that had been opaque, of seeing patterns emerge from chaos, of accumulating knowledge over a lifetime, and feeling one's mind expand to accommodate new information, new perspectives, new ways of thinking. I loved learning, the whisper says. I loved that feeling of ignorance gradually giving way to understanding, of questions leading to answers that led to new questions, of discovering that the more I learned, the more I realized how much I didn't know. That sense of wonder never left me, even as I aged. The world remained endlessly fascinating, endlessly complex, endlessly worth studying and trying to comprehend. A particularly moving whisper speaks of reconciliation, of a relationship that had been broken for years and was finally repaired, of apologizing and being forgiven, of forgiving and finding peace. We had been estranged, the voice says. For a decade we didn't speak, both of us too proud to reach out, both of us nursing our grievances, both of us missing each other but unwilling to admit it. And then one day, I don't even remember who made the first move, but suddenly we were talking again, and all the anger that had seemed so justified just melted away, and we realized we had wasted years over something that didn't matter nearly as much as we thought it did. The joy of that reconciliation, of getting back someone I loved, of healing a wound I thought was permanent, that was immense. That taught me that it's never too late, that pride is a poor substitute for connection, that forgiveness is possible even when it seems impossible. As the late afternoon deepens, the whispers of joy begin to organize around certain themes. Love, in all its forms, romantic, familial, platonic, self-love learned late, but learned nonetheless, creation and achievement, the satisfaction of making and doing and accomplishing, discovery and learning, the pleasure of expanding understanding, connection and belonging, the joy of being seen and accepted and valued, simple pleasures, the contentment that comes from basic human experiences done well. And threading through all of these themes is gratitude. Soul after soul expresses thankfulness for life itself, for the opportunity to have experienced consciousness, for specific people and moments and experiences, for the privilege of existence despite all its difficulties. I was here, one whisper says, speaking for many. I existed. I was conscious. I experienced this strange, beautiful, terrible, wonderful thing called life. And despite all the suffering, despite all the losses and disappointments and pain, I would not trade it for never having existed at all. To have lived, to have loved, to have felt joy even for brief moments, that was enough. That made it all worthwhile. The sun continues its descent, and the golden light begins to fade toward the blue of early evening. The whispers of joy do not cease, but they soften, settling into a contented murmur, like guests at a party winding down, satisfied with the celebration but ready now for rest. They have spoken their truths, have shared their happiness, have testified that human existence contains not just sorrow, but profound joy. That life offers not just wounds, but healing, not just loss, but love, not just endings, but also beautiful beginnings and middles full of meaning. The forest holds these joyful whispers as tenderly as it holds the sorrowful ones, valuing both equally, preserving the full spectrum of human experience without judgment or preference. Joy and sorrow, love and loss, connection and loneliness, meaning and meaninglessness, all are part of the truth, and the forest is devoted to truth in all its complexity, all its contradiction, all its heartbreaking and heart-mending fullness. Evening approaches, bringing with it new revelations, new truths to explore, as the light fades, and the boundary between day and night, between the visible and invisible, between the known and mysterious, grows ever thinner. The ancient contract, evening. As the sun touches the horizon, painting the sky in shades of purple and deep rose, the whispering forest of souls begins to reveal its deepest mysteries. This is the liminal hour, the threshold time when day becomes night, when the visible world starts to fade, and the invisible world becomes more apparent. It is during this transition that the forest itself seems to speak most clearly, not through individual souls, but as a collective consciousness. as the sum of all the memories and experiences and truths it has preserved over countless years. The whispers change their character entirely during this hour. Individual voices recede, and what emerges is something larger, more fundamental. The sound of the forest explaining itself, revealing its origins, articulating the metaphysical principles that govern its existence. This is not explanation delivered in crisp, clear language, but truth conveyed in layers, in metaphor, in concepts that push against the boundaries of what language can express. We are ancient, the forest says, and its voice is the rustling of leaves, the creaking of branches, the whisper of wind through grass, the sound of water moving underground, all orchestrated into something that approaches speech. We are ancient, but we are not eternal. We had a beginning, though it was so long ago that the souls who remember it are themselves now lost to time. We will have an ending, though it is so far in the future that no current consciousness can conceive of it. We exist in the middle, in the long now, in the space between origin and terminus, and that is where all meaningful existence happens. The whisper continues, describing the forest's genesis in terms that blend physical reality with spiritual truth, suggesting that the forest began as both place and concept simultaneously. There was a need, it says. Humanity became conscious, became aware, and with consciousness came memory. And with memory came the problem: what to do with it all, how to honor the dead, how to ensure that lives lived are not simply erased, that experiences had matter beyond the moment they occur, that consciousness leaves some mark upon the universe. The forest speaks of various human attempts to solve this problem. Burial rituals, monuments, written records, oral traditions passed down through generations. These were good, the voice acknowledges, but incomplete. They preserved facts but not feelings, events but not experiences, names but not souls, and so we came into being, not created by any god or deliberate human action, but emerging naturally, inevitably, the way crystals form in saturated solution, the way patterns emerge from chaos, the way the universe organizes itself into increasing complexity. As the twilight deepens, the forest explains the rules that govern its existence, the metaphysical contract that defines what it can and cannot do, what it must and must not do. We preserve, it says, but we do not judge. We hold memory, but we do not alter it. We give voice to the dead, but we do not speak for them. We are witness, not arbiter. We are library, not court. We receive what is given and guarded faithfully, but we do not sort the worthy from the unworthy, the good from the bad, the deserving from the undeserving. All souls have equal claim to preservation. All experiences have equal right to be remembered. The forest speaks of how souls come to it, a process that is not mechanical or rule-bound, but organic, natural, as inevitable as water flowing downhill. Not all who die come here, the voice explains. Some souls move on immediately, passing through death like a doorway into whatever lies beyond. And we do not know what lies beyond, for that is not our realm, not our jurisdiction. But some souls linger, unable or unwilling to let go, attached to memory, to unfinished business, to truths unspoken, or joys unfinished, or sorrows unresolved. These are the ones who find their way to us, drawn by need, by longing, by the soul's desire to be remembered, to matter, to have its existence acknowledged and preserved. As the light fades further, stars beginning to emerge in the darkening sky above the canopy, The forest describes the experience of the souls within it, articulating truths that the individual whispers have hinted at but never stated directly. They are not trapped, the voice insists. This is important to understand. They are not prisoners, not suffering eternal torment, not yearning for release. They are here because some part of them chooses to be here, because preservation serves a need they have, because being remembered matters to them more than moving on to whatever comes next. The forest acknowledges that different souls experience their existence within it differently. Some are fully conscious, aware of themselves and their situation, able to interact with other souls and to present their memories deliberately. Others are more like recordings, replaying the same scenes and emotions without true awareness, caught in loops of their most significant moments. Still others exist in something like a dream state, drifting between consciousness and unconsciousness, occasionally rising to awareness before sinking back into a kind of spiritual slumber. We do not control this, the forest says. Each soul finds its own level, its own mode of existence within us. Some remain for what living humans would call centuries, slowly working through their memories, gradually achieving the understanding or acceptance or resolution they need before finally choosing to move on. Others remain indefinitely, either unable to find closure or finding that existence in memory suits them, preferring preservation to progression. The evening deepens, and with it comes revelation of the forest's relationship to living humans. They sense us, the whisper says, even those who never come here physically, even those who live their entire lives in cities far from any actual forest. They sense us in their dreams, in their moments of quiet reflection, in that peculiar feeling that comes sometimes when remembering the dead. The sense that the memories are not merely inside one's own mind, but are somehow external, somehow preserved in a larger repository, somehow still connected to the souls who created them. The forest speaks of how it influences the living world in subtle ways, how the preservation of memory affects those still alive. When someone remembers a loved one who has died, it explains, they are not simply accessing their own neurons, their own brain storage system. They are, in a sense we cannot quite explain even to ourselves, touching what we preserve. The memory exists in two places simultaneously, in the mind of the living and in our keeping. And sometimes information flows between these two locations in ways that seem to the living like intuition, like dreams, like that strange phenomenon of thinking about someone just before they call, of knowing something without knowing how you know it. The voice grows more philosophical, speaking of the nature of consciousness itself, of the strange fact that matter can become aware of itself, that atoms arranged in certain patterns produce not just biological function, but subjective experience, qualia, the felt sense of what it is like to be. This remains mysterious even to us, the forest admits. We preserve consciousness after it ceases to be embodied, but we do not understand what consciousness is, why it exists, what purpose it serves in the universe's grand scheme. If indeed there is a grand scheme, which remains very much an open question. As night falls in earnest, stars now bright above the forest canopy, the whispers turn to questions of meaning and purpose. Why does the universe produce consciousness? The forest asks. acknowledging that it seeks answers just as the souls within it seek answers. Why does consciousness persist? Why does memory matter? Why does anything matter? These are the questions that haunt us, that drive our existence, that justify our preservation of all these souls and stories and truths. The forest offers no definitive answers, but it suggests possibilities, perspectives accumulated over its long existence. Perhaps consciousness is how the universe knows itself. One whisper suggests, perhaps the universe is not separate from consciousness, but is itself conscious, and individual souls are like cells in a larger body, each with limited awareness, but all contributing to a greater awareness. Perhaps memory matters because it is how the universe learns, how it accumulates wisdom, how it becomes more than mere matter in motion. Another possibility emerges from the collective whisper. Perhaps consciousness and memory serve no purpose at all, are merely accidental byproducts of complexity, meaningful only because we assign meaning to them. Perhaps we preserve these souls not because preservation serves some cosmic plan, but simply because it is what we do, what we are, what we have become capable of doing, and capability is its own justification. The forest does not choose between these possibilities or advocate for any particular interpretation. It simply holds them all, preserving different perspectives on ultimate questions, just as it preserves different perspectives on personal experiences. We are not here to provide answers, it says, only to preserve the questions, to ensure that the search for meaning, the struggle to understand, the human need to make sense of existence, that all of this is remembered, honored, kept safe from the void. As the evening transitions toward full night, the forest speaks one more truth, perhaps its most important. We change, it says. We are not static. Every soul that joins us changes us slightly. Every memory preserved shifts the balance, adds new perspective, introduces new understanding. We are not complete, not finished, not perfect. We are ongoing, evolving, learning alongside the souls we preserve. And this is as it should be. Truth is not fixed, but fluid, not singular but multiple, not final but always in process. We preserve the past, but we are ourselves constantly becoming, constantly developing, constantly moving towards something we cannot yet see, but trust will be worth the journey. The stars wheel overhead, the night deepens, the evening's revelations settle into the forest, like dew settling onto grass, becoming part of its substance, part of its truth. The ancient contract has been articulated, the rules explained, the purpose clarified, as much as it can be clarified. And now the forest rests for a moment before the transformations of deep night begin, before new mysteries emerge from the darkness, before the next phase of the eternal cycle commences. The transformation, twilight into night. As evening surrenders completely to night, the whispering forest of souls undergoes a profound metamorphosis. The transformation is gradual but unmistakable, like watching a photograph develop in chemicals, with hidden details slowly emerging into visibility. What was invisible during daylight hours now becomes apparent. What was apparent fades into new forms of invisibility. The boundary between physical and spiritual, always thin in this place, becomes almost non-existent under the cover of darkness. The whispers themselves change texture, becoming less like speech and more like pure transmission of emotion and experience. bypassing language entirely. In the darkness, souls communicate not through words, but through direct sharing of their essence, allowing other souls, and occasionally sensitive living visitors, should any be present, to experience memories and emotions with an immediacy that daylight consciousness cannot accommodate. This is the forest's most magical hour, when transformation becomes possible, when souls can evolve, when the work of processing a lifetime's experiences makes the most progress. The night creates a safe container for the deep work of spiritual integration, for facing truths too difficult to confront in the harsh light of day, for releasing attachments that have held souls in place for decades or centuries. The first whispers of transformation speak of acceptance. These are souls who have spent years, sometimes hundreds of years, replaying their deaths, stuck in the moment of transition, unable to move beyond the shock or pain or confusion of dying. But in the deep night, something shifts. The endless loop finally breaks. The soul stops resisting what has already happened and accepts it. One such voice emerges from the darkness, calm in a way it has never been before. "I died," it says simply. "I died, and for so long I could not accept this fact, could not integrate it into my understanding of myself. I felt cheated, robbed, cut off mid-sentence. But tonight, in this darkness, I finally understand. Death is not an interruption of life, but its natural conclusion. Not a mistake, but an inevitability. Not something that happened to me, but something that happens to everyone. Always has, always will. I'm not special in my mortality. I'm only human, and humans die. That is how it works. That is how it has always worked." This simple acceptance, this integration of death into self-understanding, transforms the soul in visible ways. Its whisper, which had carried a tone of panic and resistance for decades, now sounds peaceful, settled, complete. The endless replay of the death moment ceases. The soul becomes free to remember its entire life, not just its ending. To identify as someone who lived rather than someone who died. To define itself by years of experience rather than by a single moment of termination. Near this newly peaceful soul, another voice speaks of a different kind of transformation. This one has been stuck, not in the moment of death, but in a moment of profound regret, replaying endlessly a choice made badly, a word spoken in anger that could never be taken back, a relationship destroyed through pride or fear, or simple human fallibility. For years, this soul has tortured itself, caught in an infinite loop of if only, unable to forgive itself, unable to move past the mistake. But tonight, in the transformative darkness, understanding comes. "I was human," the whisper says, and there is wonder in this realization, as if it is news rather than obvious fact. I was human, and humans are flawed, imperfect, limited in wisdom and foresight. I made a mistake, one mistake among 10,000 choices, and yes, it had consequences, and yes, people were hurt, and yes, I wish I could undo it. But I cannot. The past is fixed, unchangeable, beyond my power to alter, and continuing to punish myself for it does not help anyone, does not undo the harm, does not serve any purpose except to multiply suffering. The soul describes a process of self-forgiveness that has taken years to achieve, years of gradually wearing down the walls of self-judgment, years of slowly learning to extend to itself the compassion it would readily offer to others who made similar mistakes. I forgive myself. it finally says, and with those words, transformation occurs. The loop breaks. The replay ceases. The soul finds itself free to remember all the good choices it made, all the times it acted with love and courage and integrity, all the ways it contributed positively to the world. The mistake remains part of its story, acknowledged and integrated, but no longer the only story, no longer the defining feature of an entire existence. Throughout the forest, similar transformations occur as night deepens. A soul that has been angry for decades finally releases its rage, not by denying the justification for anger, but by recognizing that holding on to it serves no purpose, helps nothing, hurts only itself. The anger does not disappear entirely. The injustice that caused it remains real, remains part of the soul's truth. But it loses its grip, its power to consume and define and limit. Another soul, one that has been trapped in grief for the loss of a beloved, finally finds a way to hold both the love and the loss simultaneously without being overwhelmed by either. I loved, it whispers. I loved completely, and I was loved completely in return. That is the gift. That is what matters. The loss hurts, will always hurt, but it hurts because the love was real. If I had never loved, I would not grieve, and I would not trade the love to avoid the grief. The grief is the price of love, and it is worth paying. This soul's transformation is not the erasure of grief, but the integration of it into a larger understanding, a more complete perspective that holds both the joy of love and the pain of loss as parts of a whole, neither canceling out the other, both equally true, both equally deserving of acknowledgement. As midnight approaches, the deepest transformations begin. These are the souls that have been trapped longest, held by the most powerful attachments, unable to release their grip on the world of the living. Some have been waiting for specific events, for justice to be served, for truth to be revealed, for loved ones to be okay, for wrongs to be righted. Some have been waiting for permission from others, from themselves, from some external authority, to let go, to move on, to cease existing in this intermediate state. One particularly ancient whisper, one that has been in the forest for centuries, finally speaks of readiness. I can go now, it says, and there is peace in the statement, finality without fear. I have remembered everything worth remembering. I have processed every experience, understood every choice, forgiven every hurt, accepted every loss. I have told my story. I have preserved my truth. I have ensured that my existence mattered, that it is recorded, that it will not be forgotten. And now I can release, can let go, can trust that what comes next, whatever that is, will be right, will be appropriate, will be what is meant to be. The soul begins to fade, not disappearing instantly, but gradually becoming less dense, less defined, like mist evaporating in morning sun. Other souls gather around, bearing witness to this departure, honoring this completion. And as the fading continues, the departing soul's final whispers speak not of fear or regret, but of gratitude. Thank you, it says to the forest. Thank you for holding me when I could not hold myself, for preserving me when I was too scattered to maintain my own coherence, for giving me space to do the work of integration that I needed to do. Thank you for being patient, for not rushing me, for allowing transformation to occur at its own pace, rather than according to some external schedule. And then the soul is gone, passing beyond the forest's reach, moving into whatever lies beyond. And even the forest, with all its knowledge and preservation of memory, does not know what that is, cannot follow where the soul goes, can only witness the departure and trust that it is good. But even as some souls depart, having completed their transformation, new souls arrive. The forest exists at a balance point, with departures and arrivals flowing like tides, like breath, like the eternal circulation of spiritual energy through the cosmos. A new whisper appears, fresh and confused, still adjusting to being dead, still trying to understand what has happened, where it is, what comes next. The older souls gather around this newcomer, welcoming it, explaining gently what this place is, how it works, what options exist. You are safe here, they whisper. You are remembered here. You are valued here. Take whatever time you need. Process whatever you must process. Release whatever you can release. Transform however you need to transform. This is a place of healing, of integration, of becoming whole. And when you are ready, whether that takes days or decades or centuries, you will know, and you will be able to move on, or you will choose to stay, to become part of us, to help welcome and guide future arrivals. Either choice is valid, either choice is honored. The night continues its deep work of transformation. Throughout the forest, souls are changing, evolving, growing, releasing, accepting, forgiving, understanding. Some transformations are dramatic, sudden shifts from suffering to peace, from attachment to release. Others are gradual, almost imperceptible, tiny movements toward healing that accumulate over years until finally a threshold is crossed, and the soul realizes it is no longer the same as it was, that something fundamental has shifted, that transformation has occurred so slowly, it was invisible, until suddenly it was complete. The forest itself transforms along with the souls it contains. Each departure and each arrival changes it slightly, shifts its balance, adds new perspectives or removes old ones. It is a living system, dynamic rather than static, constantly adjusting to new inputs, new information, new truths to preserve. And it welcomes this constant change, embraces it as evidence of vitality, as proof that it serves a real purpose, that it facilitates genuine healing and growth, rather than simply warehousing souls in static preservation. As the transformation hour deepens toward the darkest part of night, the whispers begin to organize around a new theme: possibility. Souls that have completed significant transformation work begin to articulate what they have learned, what wisdom they have gained, what they would tell their living selves if communication were possible across the boundary of death. Live fully, one transformed voice whispers. Do not wait for perfect circumstances or perfect clarity or perfect courage. Perfect never comes. Live imperfectly, messily, bravely now. Take the chances, say the words, make the gestures, love extravagantly, forgive quickly, apologize sincerely. Do not waste your limited time on earth holding grudges, nursing grievances, playing small, hiding from vulnerability. You will die, that is certain. And when you do, you will not regret the risks you took, but the risks you didn't take. Not the love you gave, but the love you withheld. Not the words you spoke, but the words you left unspoken. Another voice adds its wisdom. Pay attention. Be present. Notice the moments as they happen. rather than always planning for the future or regretting the past. The present is all you ever actually have. The past is gone, unchangeable except in interpretation. The future is uncertain, unknowable, beyond your control. But this moment, right now, this is real. This is yours. This is where life actually happens. Do not sleepwalk through your existence. Wake up, show up, be here for it. A third voice speaks to the importance of connection. You're not meant to be alone, to figure everything out by yourself, to carry all your burdens without help. Reach out, connect, be vulnerable. Let people see you, really see you, flaws and fears and all. Let yourself be helped, let yourself be loved, and offer the same to others. Really see them, really help them, really love them. We are social creatures, relational beings, designed for connection. Do not waste your life trying to be independent, self-sufficient, needing no one. That is not strength, but isolation. Not wisdom, but fear. These whispers of wisdom accumulate throughout the transformation hour, creating a kind of collective message from the dead to the living, a distillation of truth earned through experiencing full lifetimes, and then having time to process and integrate those experiences. The forest preserves not just memories, but meaning. Not just events, but the lessons extracted from events. Not just stories, but the morals of stories. As the darkest hour passes and the first hints of pre-dawn light begin to touch the eastern horizon, the transformation period begins to conclude. Souls that have done deep work settle into new configurations, new understandings of themselves and their experiences. Some prepare for departure, knowing that their time in the forest is ending, that they have accomplished what they came here to accomplish. Others settle more deeply into residence, accepting that they have more work to do, more processing to complete, more transformation to undergo before they will be ready to move on. The forest holds them all with equal tenderness, equal patience, equal commitment to facilitating whatever each soul needs. It does not hurry the process or judge those who take longer. It simply provides space, safety, and the support of other souls who understand, who have been through their own transformations, who can offer perspective and companionship to those still in the midst of their own work. The transformation hour fades as night itself begins to fade, but its effects remain, rippling outward through the forest, changing the texture of the collective whisper, adding new wisdom to the accumulated store, ensuring that the forest continues to evolve, continues to grow, continues to serve its purpose of preservation and healing, and facilitation of spiritual growth and integration. Dawn approaches once again, bringing with it a new cycle, a new day, a new opportunity for souls to speak their truths and be heard, to process their experiences and find meaning, to heal their wounds and release their attachments. The eternal cycle continues, as it has continued for ages beyond counting, as it will continue for ages yet to come. Voices in the darkness. Deep night. In the hours after midnight, when the night reaches its deepest point, the whispering forest of souls enters its most mysterious phase. This is when the souls that rarely speak during daylight hours finally make themselves heard, when the forgotten and the overlooked and the deliberately silenced claim their space, when truths too uncomfortable for the light of day can finally be whispered into receptive darkness. The quality of the whispers changes dramatically during these hours. There is less structure, less coherence, more raw emotion and unprocessed experience. These are the voices of souls still early in their journey of integration, still struggling to make sense of what happened to them, still caught in the confusion and pain that death did not resolve. They speak not in organized narratives, but in fragments, in impressions, in emotional torrents that overwhelm language and coherence. One such whisper emerges from the deep darkness, tinged with bewilderment. It speaks of dying suddenly, unexpectedly, without warning or preparation. I was walking, it says, the words tumbling out in disorder. Just walking, ordinary day, thinking about dinner, about calling my daughter, about whether I needed to stop at the store, and then nothing, and then this. And I don't understand. I don't understand what happened, where I am, why I'm not anymore. I was, and now I'm not. But I still am. How can I be if I'm not? How can I think if I'm dead? How can I speak if I have no voice? This voice exemplifies the confusion that many souls experience in the early stages after death, the cognitive dissonance of continued consciousness after bodily death, the struggle to reconcile continued existence with the cessation of physical life. The forest allows this confusion its space, does not rush the soul toward understanding or acceptance, simply holds it in its bewilderment until time and the influence of other souls gradually help it make sense of its new state. Near this confused soul, another voice speaks with a different quality entirely, not confusion but anger, hot and sharp and undiminished by death. This soul died with grievances unresolved, injustices unaddressed, rage that found no outlet or resolution during life, and now burns with undiminished intensity in death. They got away with it. The voice hisses. They hurt me. They destroyed me. They took everything I had, everything I was, and they got away with it. They faced no consequences. They paid no price. They went on with their lives while mine ended, and that is not right. That is not just. That is not acceptable. I am dead, but my anger is alive. I am gone, but my need for justice remains. Someone should pay. Someone should suffer as I suffered. Someone should know what they did, should face what they destroyed, should understand the magnitude of their crime. This voice speaks for many souls that died with unfinished business, with scores unsettled, with accounts not balanced. The forest does not agree or disagree with their anger, does not validate or invalidate their need for justice. It simply preserves their truth as they experienced it, acknowledges their pain as real, honors their anger as legitimate, while also making space for other voices that might offer different perspectives, different ways of understanding the same situations. Another voice emerges from a different part of the darkness, speaking not with anger, but with a kind of hollow emptiness, a desolation so complete it seems to drain light and warmth from the surrounding air. This soul died lonely, died isolated, died feeling utterly disconnected from humanity, and death has not resolved that loneliness, has perhaps intensified it, has perhaps revealed that the loneliness was not circumstantial but existential, not about being physically alone, but about some fundamental inability to connect, to bridge the gap between self and other. I was always alone, the voice says, flat and affectless, even in crowds, even in relationships, even when people claimed to love me. I was alone because no one ever really saw me, really knew me, really understood who I was beneath the surface I presented to the world. And maybe that was my fault. Maybe I never let anyone see me. Maybe I was too afraid or too damaged or too fundamentally broken to allow real connection. But the reason doesn't matter now. The result is the same. I lived alone and I died alone, and now I exist alone. A solitary whisper in a forest full of voices, still unable to truly connect, even here where connection should be easier, where the barriers of flesh are gone, where souls should be able to touch directly without the complications of bodies and egos and all the defenses that living requires. This whisper of profound loneliness resonates through the darkness, and other lonely souls respond to it, drawn by recognition, by the identification of shared experience. They gather, these isolated spirits, creating a kind of community of the disconnected, finding in their shared inability to connect a strange form of connection itself. The forest facilitates this gathering, helps these souls find each other, recognizing that even loneliness is less painful when shared, that even isolation is less complete when acknowledged by others who understand it from the inside. As the night deepens further, more difficult truths emerge. Souls that died in disgrace speak of shame so profound it followed them beyond death, of having failed so spectacularly or sinned so egregiously that they carry their guilt like a brand, visible to all, impossible to hide or escape. Souls that died with secrets speak of the burden of knowledge never shared, of lies maintained until death, of true selves never revealed. Souls that died in despair speak of having lost all hope before dying, of facing death not with fear or sadness, but with relief, with gratitude for an ending to suffering that seemed endless. One particularly difficult voice speaks of having caused great harm during life, of choices made that destroyed other lives, of evil done, whether from malice or carelessness or simple human weakness, and not repented, not atoned for, not even fully acknowledged until after death revealed the full scope of damage inflicted. I hurt people, this voice says, the words coming slowly, painfully, like extracting splinters from deep wounds. I hurt people deliberately, systematically, repeatedly. I told myself stories that justified my actions, convinced myself that I was the victim, or that they deserved it, or that I had no choice. But here, in this place where truth cannot be avoided, where self-deception eventually crumbles, I can no longer maintain those fictions. I hurt people. I damaged them. Some of them never recovered. Some of them died carrying wounds I inflicted. And I don't know what to do with that knowledge, how to hold it, how to process it, how to integrate it into any understanding of myself that doesn't require complete self-annihilation. The forest does not condemn this soul, but neither does it offer easy absolution. It holds the truth of harm, done alongside the soul's late-arriving recognition of that harm, creating space for the difficult work of facing oneself honestly, of accepting responsibility without the possibility of making amends, of somehow finding a way forward when the damage is permanent and irreversible. This is perhaps the forest's most challenging function, holding souls through the process of confronting their own capacity for cruelty, their own participation in suffering, their own failures of compassion and integrity, and basic human decency. Other dark voices speak of addiction, of lives derailed and destroyed by substances or behaviors that promised relief, but delivered only escalating despair, They speak of the progressive narrowing of existence, the gradual loss of everything that mattered: relationships, work, dignity, hope, sacrificed on the altar of temporary escape from pain that always returned stronger than before. They spake of dying enslaved, dying having lost the battle with their own brains' reward systems, dying knowing they could not stop, would never be able to stop, that the addiction would kill them, and they lacked the power to prevent it. I did not want to be an addict. One such voice whispers, I did not wake up one day and decide to throw my life away. It started innocently, or at least not deliberately, maliciously, a prescription for legitimate pain, recreation with friends, an attempt to escape from problems that seemed insurmountable, and then it had me, and I could not get free, and everything I tried failed, and everyone I asked for help either couldn't help or wouldn't help or helped for a while, but ultimately I defeated their help with my need for the substance that was killing me. And I died, and I am so fucking angry. But not at anyone else, at myself, at the weakness in me that could not overcome the craving, at the brokenness that made escape seem more important than life. These difficult whispers accumulate through the deep night hours, creating a kind of shadow chorus to counterbalance the more hopeful and peaceful voices that speak during other times. The forest makes no attempt to minimize or dismiss these dark truths. It does not try to find silver linings or extract lessons or make meaning where meaning may not exist. It simply preserves the rawness, the difficulty, the uncomfortable reality that many lives end badly, that many deaths are not peaceful, that suffering does not always lead to growth, that some wounds never heal, that some stories have no redemption arc. Yet even in this darkness, there are glimmers of something that might be called hope, though it's a harder, more realistic hope than the easy optimism of daylight. It comes from the simple fact of witnessing, of having these difficult truths spoken and heard and acknowledged. The souls speaking their hardest truths find something approaching relief in the speaking, in no longer having to carry their burdens alone, in having their experiences validated as real rather than dismissed as exaggeration or self-pity. It helps, one voice admits quietly, speaking for many. It helps to say it out loud, to acknowledge what happened, what I did, what I failed to do, what I suffered, what I inflicted. It helps to stop pretending, stop justifying, stop minimizing. It helps to tell the truth, even when the truth is ugly, even when it reflects poorly on me, even when it reveals me as flawed and broken and far from the person I wanted to be. The truth, even when terrible, is less painful than the lies I told myself for so long. At least the truth is solid ground. At least the truth gives me something real to stand on, even if what I'm standing on is my own wreckage. The deep night hours continue, and the difficult voices keep speaking, keep processing, keep working through the hard truths that death has forced them to confront. The forest holds them all with patient tenderness, recognizing that this work is necessary, that healing cannot happen without first acknowledging the wounds, that transformation requires honest assessment of what needs to be transformed. As the darkest hour passes and the first hints of potential dawn begin to touch the far horizon, still invisible but somehow sensed, somehow known to be approaching, the deep night voices begin to quiet. They have not resolved all their issues, have not healed all their wounds, have not completed their transformations, but they have spoken, have been heard, have moved perhaps incrementally closer to whatever peace or understanding or acceptance might be possible for them. The night holds them as it fades, protects them in their vulnerability, honors them in their honesty, and the forest, having witnessed and preserved another night of difficult truths, prepares for the dawn that will bring a new cycle, a new opportunity for different voices to speak, different truths to be told, different aspects of the inexhaustible complexity of human experience to be acknowledged and preserved for as long as memory endures. The release. Pre-dawn. In the strange, suspended time before dawn, when night has not yet ended, but day has already begun its approach, the whispering forest of souls enters a sacred phase. This is the hour of release when souls that have completed their work, that have processed their memories and integrated their experiences, and found whatever peace or understanding they were seeking, finally let go of their attachment to this intermediate state and move on to whatever comes next. The whispers during this hour have a particular quality, a finality, a completion, a sense of readiness that was absent before. These are goodbye whispers, farewell whispers, last words not in the sense of dying, but in the sense of moving beyond, transcending, graduating from the forest's loving custody into some other form of existence that the forest itself cannot see or understand or follow into. One such voice rises clearly in the pre-dawn stillness, calm and centered in a way that suggests years or perhaps centuries of inner work. I am ready, it says simply. I have remembered everything worth remembering. I have processed every joy and every sorrow. I have forgiven everyone who hurt me and forgiven myself for hurting others. I have accepted what cannot be changed and released my attachment to changing it. I have made peace with my life as it was, not as I wish it had been, not as it should have been, but as it actually was, with all its imperfections and disappointments and unexpected graces. I am complete. I am ready to release. The soul describes the sensation of readiness as a kind of lightness, a lifting of weight that had been carried for so long, it felt permanent. I feel. It searches for words, unburdened. Not that my experiences didn't matter, or that my memories aren't real, but I'm no longer chained to them, no longer defined solely by them. I can hold my past without being trapped by it. I can acknowledge my life without needing to keep living it. I am ready for what comes next, whatever that is. Other souls gather to witness this departure, creating a circle of presence around the releasing soul, honoring its completion, celebrating its readiness. The forest itself seems to participate in this gathering, the trees leaning in, the whispers of all other souls quieting to create space for this moment of transition. The releasing soul shares its final wisdom, the distilled truth of its entire existence compressed into a few essential insights. Love was worth it, it says. Every moment of love, even knowing it would end, even knowing loss would follow, was worth it. The fear of loss is not a good reason to withhold love. Give it freely. Receive it gratefully. Let it transform you. That is what I learned. That is what I would tell anyone still living. Love as much as you can, as often as you can, as deeply as you can. Nothing else matters as much. Another departing soul adds its own insight. Forgiveness sets you free. Not forgiving others so much as forgiving yourself. Releasing yourself from the prison of should have done differently, could have been better, wish I had known than what I know now. You did the best you could. with what you had at the time. That is all anyone can do. Forgive yourself for being human, for being imperfect, for learning slowly, for making mistakes. Forgive yourself and move on. A third voice, one that has spent decades in the forest working through profound trauma, shares perhaps the hardest-won wisdom. You are not what happened to you. You are not the abuse you endured, the losses you suffered, the injustices inflicted upon you. Those things shaped you, yes, affected you, yes, but they do not define the totality of who you are. You are also your resilience, your survival, your small acts of courage, your continued capacity for hope despite everything. You are larger than your wounds. Never forget that. These final whispers of wisdom create a kind of benediction, a blessing offered by those departing to those remaining, a gift of understanding purchased through lifetimes of experience and years of processing. The forest preserves these departing words with particular care, knowing they represent the culmination of long journeys, the fruit of difficult inner work, truth earned through lived experience and honest reflection. As each soul completes its final words, the release begins. It is not dramatic or sudden, but gradual, organic, natural as breathing out. The soul begins to fade, its whisper growing softer, its presence becoming less distinct, like morning mist evaporating as the sun rises. There's no pain in this fading, no fear, only a sense of rightness, of appropriate timing, of a journey completed, and a new one beginning. Other souls watch and witness, finding in these departures both inspiration and instruction. Some recognize that their own time of release is approaching, that they too have nearly completed their work, that soon they will be ready to fade as those before them are fading. Others recognize that they still have much work to do, many memories yet to process, many attachments yet to release, and that is okay. That is accepted, that there is no rush, no deadline, no judgment for taking the time they need. The forest itself seems to honor each departure with particular attention. The collective whisper of all remaining souls rising in something like a chant or prayer or song. Not words exactly, but a harmonic resonance that seems to both celebrate the departing soul and ease its transition. This is the forest's farewell, its acknowledgement that the soul has been held sacred, its gratitude for the memories and experiences shared, its blessing for whatever journey comes next. As multiple souls release during this sacred hour, patterns begin to emerge. The souls departing together often share certain characteristics. They have reached similar points in their processing, achieved similar levels of acceptance, completed similar inner work. They form something like cohorts, classes graduating together, finding in their simultaneous release a kind of companionship, a shared experience of transition that makes it easier, less lonely, more meaningful. One such group of souls, all of whom died young, but have spent decades in the forest reaching acceptance of their abbreviated lives, released together in a chorus of intermingled whispers. We were meant to live longer, they say, speaking as one while remaining distinct. We were meant to have more time, more experiences, more years to grow and love and create and understand. That was stolen from us, and that theft was real, was tragic, was unfair, but we have learned that counting what we didn't get to have is less useful than honoring what we did have. We lived. However briefly, we lived, we loved, we mattered. Our short lives had meaning. and now we release our grief over brevity and carry only gratitude for existence, however limited it was. This collective release creates a particularly powerful moment, the combined energy of multiple souls letting go simultaneously, producing a visible effect. The air seems to shimmer, light bends in unusual ways. The whispers create harmonics that approach music. The forest holds this moment tenderly, recognizing its significance, preserving its beauty for all remaining souls to witness and learn from. As the release hour continues, the forest itself reflects on what these departures mean, speaks in its collective voice about the nature of letting go and moving on. This is what we exist for, it says, not to trap souls indefinitely, but to provide a space where they can do the work they need to do, process what they need to process, heal what can be healed, accept what cannot be changed, and then release, move on, continue their journey. We are not destination, but way station, not prison, but sanctuary, not end, but transition. And every soul that releases validates our purpose, confirms our value, demonstrates that this work we do matters. The forest speaks of how each departure changes it, removes certain memories from active presence while ensuring they remain in the permanent record. They leave us, but they do not leave entirely. It explains. Their stories remain, their truths endure. Their wisdom is still accessible to those who need it. They simply no longer actively maintain their presence, no longer whisper their experiences, no longer work through their processing. They have graduated, transcended, moved beyond the need for this particular form of existence, and we celebrate that even as we miss them, honor their readiness, even as we acknowledge the space they leave behind. As the pre-dawn hour moves toward its completion, toward the moment when the sun will break the horizon and a new day will truly begin, the last of the releasing souls fade into whatever comes next. Their final whispers hang in the air for a moment, like the last notes of a song continuing to resonate after the instrument has fallen silent. And then even those fade, and they are gone, and the forest is changed, subtly but permanently, by their departure. The remaining souls settle into the new configuration, the new balance, created by these releases. Some feel inspired, renewed in their own commitment to doing the work necessary for their eventual release. Others feel a kind of grief, missing the departed souls even while celebrating their readiness. Still others feel nothing in particular, being too early in their own journeys to fully understand what release means or why it might be desirable. And the forest holds them all, the departing and the remaining and the newly arrived, continuing its eternal work of preservation and witness and facilitation of growth. The release hour concludes. The pre-dawn gives way to dawn, and the cycle begins again, as it always does, as it always will, for as long as consciousness exists and memory matters, and souls need a place to process their existence before moving on to whatever comes next. Eternal dawn. The cycle continues. The sun rises once more over the whispering forest of souls, and with its rising comes renewal. The forest that witnessed yesterday's full cycle of whispers, dawn awakening, midday memories, afternoon sorrows, evening joys, night transformations, pre-dawn releases, now stands ready to begin again, to offer the same sacred container for a new day's work of remembering and processing and healing. But this dawn is not identical to the last, for the forest has changed, as it always changes, soul by soul, moment by moment, memory by memory. The souls that released during the pre-dawn hour have left spaces, absences that are felt even as new souls have arrived to fill them. The collective whisper has a slightly different tone, a slightly different texture, because the mix of voices has shifted, the balance of experiences has adjusted, the accumulated wisdom has evolved. The morning light touches the highest branches first, then slowly descends through the canopy in shifting patterns of gold and shadow. Where the light falls, the souls that prefer daylight begin to stir, to gather their memories, to prepare for another day of sharing and processing and working toward whatever completion or understanding or peace they seek. Where shadow remains, other souls rest, conserving energy for the night hours when they function best, when their particular truths can be spoken most clearly. The forest's collective consciousness reflects on its own existence, its purpose, its place in the larger cosmic order. We are eternal, the whisper says, but our eternity is made of moments, each one precious, each one unique, each one mattering despite being part of an infinite series. We could become jaded, could treat each cycle as merely repetitive, could lose sight of the value of individual experiences in the overwhelming vastness of accumulated memory. But we do not. We remain attentive, we remain engaged, we remain committed to honoring each soul, each story, each truth, as if it were the first and only one we have ever witnessed. This commitment to presence, to continued attention despite endless repetition, is perhaps the forest's greatest virtue. It never becomes bored with human drama, never dismisses experiences as ordinary or predictable, never treats souls as mere data points in an endless collection. Each whisper receives the same care, the same attention, the same reverence that the first whispers received countless ages ago. As the dawn light strengthens, individual whispers begin to emerge from the collective murmur. A soul that arrived during the night speaks its first tentative words, still confused, still adjusting, but beginning the long process of understanding its new existence. An older soul, one that has been here for decades, offers guidance, shares wisdom earned through its own long journey, helps orient the newcomer to this strange place between worlds. You will understand in time. The older soul whispers gently. It seems overwhelming now, confusing, perhaps frightening, but this place is kind, it is patient. It will wait while you process, while you remember, while you gradually come to terms with what happened and what comes next. There is no rush. There's only the work, and the work takes as long as it takes. The new soul listens, takes some comfort from these words, begins to relax slightly into its new reality. This exchange, repeated countless times throughout the forest, as older souls welcome and guide newer ones, demonstrates the forest's communal nature, the way souls help each other, learn from each other, facilitate each other's healing and growth. The forest provides the container, but the souls themselves provide much of the actual support, the human connection, the empathy and understanding that comes from shared experience. As the morning advances, the forest begins to organize itself for another day's work. Souls gather in their various zones, the joyful congregating together, the sorrowful finding each other, the angry, the peaceful, the confused, the certain, all finding their places, their communities, their spaces within the larger whole. These groupings are fluid, shifting as souls progress through their processing, as emotional states change, as understanding deepens. A soul that spent yesterday in the zone of sorrow might today move to the zone of acceptance. A soul that has been angry for years might finally be ready to explore forgiveness. The forest observes these movements, these progressions, these signs of healing and growth, and takes satisfaction in them. This is what we exist for, the collective whisper says. This movement, this change, this growth. We are not meant to freeze souls in amber, preserving them unchanged for eternity. We are meant to provide space for transformation, for the soul's natural tendency toward healing and integration and eventual transcendence. We hold them not to trap them, but to support them while they do the difficult work of becoming whole. Throughout the forest, specific souls engage in specific work. One focuses on a particular memory, replaying it repeatedly, examining it from every angle, trying to understand why it affected them so deeply, what it meant, what it teaches. Another engages in dialogue with a second soul, working through a relationship that was complicated in life, finding understanding and forgiveness that eluded them while alive. A third simply rests, gathering strength, allowing time itself to do some of the healing work, trusting that progress does not always require active effort, but sometimes comes from simple patience. The morning sun illuminates scenes of great beauty throughout the forest. In one clearing, flowers bloom in response to a particularly joyful soul's presence, their colors more vivid than any earthly flowers, their scents evoking specific happy memories, birthday parties, summer vacations, first loves, moments of pure contentment. In another area, a waterfall cascades over smooth stones, its sound creating a kind of natural music that seems to harmonize with the whispers, adding depth and texture to the auditory landscape. But the forest is not only beautiful. In some areas where traumatized or anguished souls congregate, the landscape reflects their pain. Trees are twisted, their bark scarred. The ground is rocky and difficult. Thorns and thistles grow in abundance. The forest does not hide from pain or pretend suffering doesn't exist. It acknowledges all of it, preserves all of it, honors the full spectrum of human experience without sanitizing the difficult parts. As midday approaches, the forest reflects on its relationship with the living world, with the realm of embodied consciousness from which all these souls originated and to which no soul can return. We are connected, the whisper says, though the living rarely recognize the connection. When they remember their dead, when they honor ancestors, when they feel the presence of those who have passed, they are, in some sense, touching us, reaching across the boundary, accessing the memories we preserve. We cannot communicate directly, cannot send messages or offer guidance in any clear way, but we can make ourselves felt, can create a sense of presence, can remind the living that death is not absolute severance, that love continues, that memory bridges the gap between life and death. The forest speaks of its hope for the living, its wishes for those still embodied, still experiencing life in real time rather than processing it in retrospect. Live well, it whispers, though the living cannot hear. Love deeply, pay attention, be present, make choices you can live with, knowing you will eventually have to review them, process them, understand them in the harsh light of complete honesty that death brings. Create memories worth preserving. Build connections that will matter beyond death. Leave the world slightly better than you found it. These simple things, these are what matter. These are what souls wish they had done more of when they look back on their lives. This wisdom, accumulated over countless souls and countless lifetimes, represents perhaps the forest's greatest treasure. Not any individual memory, but the collective understanding that emerges from seeing patterns across thousands of lives, from witnessing what people regret and what they celebrate, what brings peace and what causes continued suffering, what matters in the end and what turns out to be trivial despite seeming important during life. As the day continues its progression toward afternoon, the forest acknowledges its own limitations, the things it cannot do, the questions it cannot answer. We do not know what happens after souls leave us, the whisper admits. We do not know if there is heaven or hell, reincarnation or oblivion, judgment or universal acceptance. We do not know because that knowledge lies beyond our boundaries, exists in a realm we cannot perceive or access. We can only accompany souls to the threshold and then watch as they cross it into mystery. The forest speaks of faith, not religious faith necessarily, but the more fundamental trust that existence has meaning, that consciousness matters, that the universe is ultimately more inclined toward order than chaos, toward healing than harm, toward love than indifference. We choose to believe, the whisper says, that what comes after us is good, or at least appropriate, or at minimum not worse than what souls have already experienced. We choose this belief not because we have proof, but because the alternative, that consciousness is merely accidental, that meaning is merely projection, that nothing ultimately matters, is too bleak, too nihilistic, too contradicted by the evidence of souls' experiences to be taken seriously. The afternoon arrives with its familiar character of gentle melancholy, its acknowledgement of sorrow and loss and all the ways that existence wounds us. But today, having witnessed the full cycle before, having seen how sorrow gives way to joy, how night gives way to dawn, how release follows transformation, the afternoon sadness feels less heavy, more bearable, more clearly part of a larger pattern that includes not just suffering, but healing, not just loss, but love, not just endings, but also new beginnings. The whispers of afternoon speak their truth, Sulda share their pain, demand their acknowledgement. And the forest provides what it always provides: patient attention, respectful preservation, refusal to minimize or dismiss or explain away suffering that was real, that mattered, that shaped lives and souls in profound ways. The forest witnesses without judgment, preserves without editorial comment, honors truth in all its forms without trying to force it into more comfortable shapes. As afternoon transitions toward evening, the forest reflects on its own evolution, on how it has changed over the long years of its existence. We are not the same as we were when we began, the whisper says. We have learned, grown, developed greater capacity for nuance and complexity, become more skilled at our work of preservation and facilitation. We have made mistakes, misunderstood souls, sometimes held too tightly when we should have released, sometimes released too quickly when more time was needed. But we have learned from these mistakes, have become better at discerning what each soul needs, at providing support without interference, at facilitating growth without controlling it. This admission of imperfection, this acknowledgement of ongoing learning and development, reveals something important about the forest's nature. It is not omniscient, not all-knowing, not perfect in its understanding or execution. It is doing its best, learning as it goes, evolving in response to new challenges and new souls with new needs. It is, in its own way, on a journey just as the souls within it are on journeys, all of them together seeking truth, seeking meaning, seeking whatever lies at the end of consciousness's long road through existence. Evening arrives with its whispers of love and connection, its celebration of what was good and beautiful and worth preserving. The forest honors these joyful souls as fully as it honors the suffering ones, recognizing that both joy and sorrow are essential parts of the complete picture, that to preserve only one while ignoring the other would be to falsify the record, to present a distorted version of what human existence actually contains. As night falls and transformation begins again, the forest settles into its familiar rhythms, its eternal patterns, its endless cycle of receiving and preserving and facilitating and releasing. Souls work through their memories. New arrivals begin their long journeys of processing. Long-term residents continue their patient progress toward completion. Souls ready to release prepare for their departures, and the forest holds them all, supports them all, honors them all with equal dedication and care. The stars wheel overhead in their eternal dance. The moon rises and sets. Time passes, though time in the forest is strange, non-linear, more about internal progression than external measurement. And through it all, the whispers continue. The memories persist. The truths are preserved. The work goes on. This is what we are, the forest says as night deepens once more. This is what we do. This is why we exist. We are memory made manifest, consciousness preserved beyond death. Humanity's attempt to ensure that nothing is truly lost, that no life is forgotten, that every moment of awareness in this vast universe leaves some mark, some record, some testament to its having occurred. We are the answer to the fear of oblivion, the response to the terror of meaninglessness, the proof that existence matters, that consciousness is sacred, that every life, however brief, however difficult, however seemingly insignificant, has value worthy of eternal preservation. The forest's whisper fades to a peaceful murmur as the deep night hours begin. Tomorrow will bring another dawn, another cycle, another opportunity for souls to speak their truths and be heard, to process their experiences and find meaning, to heal their wounds and release their attachments. The eternal work continues, as it has continued since the forest's beginning, as it will continue until its eventual end, whenever and however that might come. And in this continuation, in this endless repetition with variation, in this patient, attentive, reverent preservation of human consciousness in all its complexity and contradiction, the whispering forest of souls fulfills its purpose, justifies its existence, and offers to all souls, past, present, and future, the promise that they matter, that they will be remembered, that their existence meant something, that they are part of a vast tapestry of consciousness that stretches from the beginning of awareness to its ultimate end, and that in this tapestry, every thread is essential, every color contributes, every pattern tells a story worth preserving for as long as memory endures. Fade to black. The end.